Hey, I'm Blake Alsop, and this is my TW200. This baby has a 196cc air-cooled 1-cylinder 4-stroke engine. It has 2 very large tires, and the indicators are very minimalistic. It shows speed mile per hour, a turning signal indicator, a brights indicator, and a neutral indicator. I bought this bike. It was my first bike, so I'm kind of glad that I chose the smaller bike as my beginning motorcycle. So the things that I love about this bike, I love the fact that this thing will go anywhere. It's got big meaty tires and it is full of torque. So if there's a log laying in your path on a trail, it'll go there. Road's closed, it'll go right through whatever they're working on. This thing will run 70 miles per hour on the interstate stock gearing. But do I recommend that? Probably not. It's pretty pegged out at that point. So I never go above 65, not that it really can, but for highway riding you either need to re-gear this bike or just reconsider this motorcycle altogether. It's got a low seat height, about 32 inches. I'm 5'8", so it's very comfortable for me. I can flat foot this bike. My girlfriend's 5'5", and she can ride this bike, so very nice bike to have if you're shorter stature. Now the tires on this thing, they're kind of what sets it apart from everything else. I've had most of my comments be about the tires, for sure. It does have a headlight, tail light, turn signals, and a license plate, so it is street legal. I bought this thing in June, and it was nice and hot. I could ride it any day I wanted, and I did. I rode it when it was hot, rode it when it was windy, rainy. Right now it's October, and I'm still riding this bike. I bought the bike with 250 miles on it. Now the bike has 2,650, so I've rode this thing for a little bit. It's only been 4 months and I've put about 2,400 miles on it. So I'm getting a lot of use out of this bike. You can call it my daily driver. I have a truck too, but I spend most of my time on the bike if I can. I do haul a lot if I need to go camping. I try to take the bike. This is a picture of me hauled up. Took it down to Lake Rathbun. That's down in southeast Iowa here, and they had some trails down there too. Here's some trails. Now as for trails, I rode this bike probably 30% off-road, so out of my 2,500-ish miles I put about 30% of that on trails through the woods or tracks or just out, not on a road. So I've taken it to farms, I've taken it to coal mines, I've packed it up, taken it camping, taken it through trails. It is an amazing bike. It has all the torque in the world, and these big meaty tires really make a difference when it's starving for traction. I have had this bike on an MX track. I have had it in the air a couple times, but that's not what this bike is made for, so it'll do it, but if you're gonna do it, get a different bike. Some more things I love about this bike would be the ergonomics. It's very comfortable. You get on this bike and you feel at home. Like I said, it's small, so it makes you feel like you're not scared of the bike. Comfortable anywhere probably under 45 miles per hour. I won't drive gravel above 40 miles an hour usually. It will go faster, but there's no need for it, so that's a big thing. A regular motorcycle wouldn't be too good on gravel, and we have a lot of gravel roads here, so that's a plus for me. The fuel consumption is awesome. I think I've topped it around 80 miles in a gallon. That's if I'm putting around town, being real conservative and all, but highway it's more like 60-65 miles a gallon. Only a 1.2 gallon tank, so $3.50 will fill it up most of the time, and my reserve goes about 15 miles. So if I do run out of gas, flip it to reserve, I can usually find a gas station within my radius. Now on to some things I don't like. It is a smaller bike. I will give it that. It is only 200cc, which for a beginner is plenty. Less motor is more, in a sense of you can learn how to handle the bike. Usually when people have a bike that has a bigger motor as their beginning bike, they lose track of the fundamentals, and if they get into a sticky situation, throttle's not always going to help you out of those. So I know it's a con, but it's kind of a pro at the same time. I've dumped this bike around 10 times, just laid it over on trails. I've never done anything serious, but my levers have they've taken quite a beating. My clutch lever is a little bit wiggly, so not really a con, because I assume any bike that you tip over is going to have a hard time with its levers, especially if that's what it's hitting first. So probably the biggest con that I have about this bike is my chain guard, or this little tracking device. Well, this bolt right here has came out on one occasion, and it got my chain going pretty loose, and the chain has fallen off a couple times. Luckily I wasn't going too fast, but that was something to look out for. It's fine now. I've greased it up, I've tightened everything back up. I've ran over one nail. The nail was about 4 inches long, went right through my back tire, so not really the bike's fault, but did happen. For maintenance on this bike, I've changed the oil on it twice. Once at 500 miles on the bike. That was for its primary first break-in oil. I also changed it at 1500 miles. So I have gotten comfortable with maintaining this bike. Honestly, a little bit of WD-40 here and there, change the oil, and then put gas in it and ride it. That's all there is to it. I've had no trouble with my carburetor. I've had no trouble with gearing, no trouble with anything other than my chain guard. So very easy bike to maintain, very reliable. Would I sell this bike? I don't think I'm ever going to sell this bike, if I'm going to be honest. Yeah, I do want a bigger bike in the future. I would love to have a street bike, maybe even a purpose MX dirt bike, but this bike I don't think I'll ever be able to let go. It's I don't know if it's something with my heart, but it was my first bike. The thing is just reliable. You know, no matter where I take this, if it has fuel, it's gonna go. There's no argument against it. The most reliable bike I've seen.